I am very honoured to be the patron of independence at home. Wonderful possession to have. And I'm delighted to welcome all of you here tonight. We are here to mark, indeed to celebrate, this wonderful charity and its work throughout its remarkable 60-year history. And I should particularly like to thank our very generous supporters this evening, Evelyn Partners, and an anonymous individual donor. We are most grateful. Thank you very much. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this evening. I have very much enjoyed it so far. But before that, I will hand over to our chairman, David Astor, to tell you a little bit more about our fascinating history, our current work and its impact, and our exciting future plans. So David, over to you.
Thank you, Johnny, and welcome everybody to this evening to celebrate what I think we can call the Diamond Jubilee of Independence at home, almost to the day, as it was founded on the 14th of October 1965. I think there's a danger I'm going to go more into the history than the future, but I know that I've been told that food services resume at 7:20, so I'll try and stick to my briefing. But even though I want to look to the future, there's much work that remains to be done, and I think it is appropriate to cast our minds back some 60 years to the origins of this charity. There is no doubt that we are all here due to the persistence and tenacity of one person, namely Doris Page, also known by her pen name of Anne Armstrong, and that's what she was best known to me, and many others. Sadly, time does not permit the fulsome tribute that her tenacious campaigning to change attitudes and highlight the plight of the disabled deserves. But suffice it to say that Doris suffered from acute polio, which left her paralysed and reliant on an iron lung, and for a while unable to live at home. She lived in Newbury in Berkshire and caught the attention of her local MP, who was my father, John Astor. He took up her cause in Parliament and found willing support in the form of two remarkable Labour MPs, which was in the days when Conservative and Labour MPs were allowed to be friends, namely Alf Morris and Jack Ashley. And the all-party Parliamentary Disability Group was founded. It exists to this day. In his autobiography, Jack Ashley, who was a patron here for a long time, described the attitude to disabled people then as, in quotes, casual indifference, slightly tinged with pity, but bordering on neglect. He noted that between 1959 and 1964, there was not a single debate on disability in the House of Commons. That is the attitude that Anne Armstrong, as I call her, faced and succeeded in changing. I'm delighted that her son and daughter-in-law and grandson are with us tonight to carry on the family connections. In fact, it was a further 6 years before the Chronically Sick and Disabled Persons Act became law in 1970, and so he, along with others, most notably Enid Hopper, founded Invalids at Home, as it was then called, to tackle the issue pending legislation. The minutes of the first meeting noted that, in quotes, 1 guinea was donated by Mr. and Mrs. Kenneth Page, which was Anne and her husband Kenneth, in the expectation that further monies would be received. Luckily, they were right. And since the founding of Independence at Home, as we changed our name a number of years ago, grants of approaching £10 million have been made to over 50,000 adults and children throughout the country. 10 years ago, at a similar function, I was talking about £6 million to 40,000 people. And in the first 25 years, £750,000 was distributed. So we picked up the pace a bit, but we want to do more. This has all been made possible by a multitude of people over the years, and we owe them a great debt of gratitude. First and foremost, without the generosity of our donors, obviously none of this would have happened. But there's a longer list of people I need to thank. We rely mostly on referrers to connect us to those in need, and many of you are here tonight. Thank you for the invaluable work you do in introducing the most vulnerable in society to charities like ours. Between the donor and those successfully referred to us lies the day-to-day activities of the charity. And we have been blessed over the years with the individuals who work there. They've always gone way beyond the call of duty. And it's wonderful tonight that we are joined by 3 previous chief executives in Sarah Lomas, who I just reminded her we used her garage as the office for many years, and she ran it for 20 years. Mary Rose and Kate Williams, thank you, all 3 of you. They've all led dedicated teams who've taken the charity forward in different ways, and today is no different under the leadership of Melanie Derbyshire for the last 4 years. Melanie, you've only just begun. Supported by Judy Kellner, who started working for us in 1986, and her husband Peter, who advises us on IT and keeps us in the modern age. Liz Robertson joined us in 2008, and more recently Katie Spooner and Birgitta Clift. Another reason why we've been able to increase the amount of help we can give, lately around £500,000 a year, has been through a number of mergers with like-minded charities, starting with the Chartered Society of Queen Square, followed by the Doreen Stanford Trust, the Staines Trust, and most recently Equipment for Independent Living. The foresight and trust in us shown by the trustees of these charities has truly transformed the scale of our ambitions. We hope to find some other candidates in the coming years as we seek to grow and achieve self-sufficiency. And we've also benefited recently from the likes of the Ted Gosling Foundation and the Castaner Trust, who have made significant grants to us in the process of winding down. Again, this is a trend we hope to take advantage of in the future. Thanks also to the professional support we've received from our fund managers, Evelyn and Cazenove, and our auditors, Elliott. And I'm very pleased that representatives from these organisations are here tonight, and as Johnny said, we're very grateful to Evelyn for generously supporting the event along with an anonymous donor or 2. Between them, they have covered the cost of the evening. Finally, my thanks to the trustees who guide our strategy and support the executive and give freely of their time and considerable experience. And then I added this at the end, and have so far declined their annual opportunity to replace me as chair, which is getting on. Jenny Harrow, in particular, has given steadfast support, and I'm going to be brave here and say for over 35 years, but that doesn't offend anybody. Speaking of costs, we are proud that every penny that is donated to us goes to those in need, as the cost of running the charity are met from existing resources. Speaking of need, there is no sign of this letting up. Going back again to the origins, the aims and objects, what they call them objects then, of the charity, were to help permanent invalids, no matter what the nature of their illness or disablement, to leave hospital for home and to remain at home in greater comfort and security. That effectively remains the case today. We want people to live where they want, how they want, and with whom they wish. Recent research shows that there are huge numbers of disabled people, and that disability and poverty often go together. Life costs more for a household affected by disability, and that's before you factor in the increase in cost of living. Additionally, the number of old people is increasing, and of course the NHS is constantly under pressure to provide correct equipment, even for the correct amount of time. At Independence at Home, we are driven by a mission to ensure that people with a disability or long-term illness have the equipment and safely adapted and comfortable homes they want and need to continue to live actively and independently. In the scheme of things, we make relatively modest grants, between £300 and £600, but it is humbling how transformational such seemingly modest sums can be. A little help goes a long way, but more help goes further. We want to make larger grants to help more people, particularly in celebration of our 60 years. We have the infrastructure. We need your help. With your help, we will. So before we hear from Melanie and one of our beneficiaries, I would like to appeal to you to continue helping us in any way that you can, but most obviously by supporting us financially or connecting us to someone who can. But also more generally, raising awareness of our work through your contacts, be that nurturing or expanding our relationship with referrers, or alerting us to any other merger opportunities. Thank you again for coming and helping us celebrate 60 years, and enjoy the evening.